My name is Jamie Francis. I am the Director of Rowing at Amarillo University. I oversee both the men's and women's rowing programs here that are now NCAA Division II varsity programs for the women, and because the NCAA doesn't sponsor men's rowing, a varsity intercollegiate rowing program for the men. We have raced a couple of times in the fall during our non-championship season. Those races are against the clock. Those are called head races. The spring, though, is really our championship season. Our first race will be March 3rd against FIT, which has both a varsity men's and varsity women's program. In the spring, races are 2,000 meters in distance, so about 1.2 miles. Both men and women race the same distance. Men's boats tend to be faster than women's boats, so the time racing is shorter, but ultimately it's getting from point A to point B as fast as you can, or at least faster than the boat next to you. A lot of our races this spring will start off with dual races where it's us and one other school, but it's pretty common in the rowing world to go to a regatta where you've got multiple schools lined up in multiple categories to again race 2,000 meters from start to finish and see who gets there first. At its core, it's pretty simple. There's a lot of subtleties to the sport. The athletes travel backwards, except for the coxswain, who's primarily steering the boat and instructing the athletes on their race plan. You also have different positions within the boats and different size boats. We primarily race 8s and 4s in collegiate athletics, collegiate rowing. 8s have 8 rowers with a coxswain, 4s have 4 rowers with a coxswain. But there are also pairs and doubles that have 2 rowers with no coxswains, and also singles that have 1 rower with no coxswain. What I'm most excited about with the rowing program at Embry-Riddle this year is we've got a good group of kids, some that were recruited freshmen that rowed in high school, some that came over from the from the club program from previous years, and then some novice walk-ons who have just learned the sport this year. They've been putting in a lot of work, and we've seen some good improvements from the kids in their training, and so we're excited to see how that plays out on the water. One of our goals competitively this year was to be faster on the water this year than we were last year. We're just looking for improvement. And in the fall, we've seen some early indications that that's going to be the case. But at the end of the day, it depends on what spring racing looks like. Qualifications for the men and for the women are a little bit different. Women's rowing is an NCAA sport, so they regionalized. Division II is regionalized. We are in the South region, and the South region happens to also be all of the Sunshine State Conference. So the 6 schools that are in the Sunshine State Conference make up the South region. There is a committee of coaches that do selections based on your race schedule. So they look at who you've raced over the course of the spring, and they put more emphasis on late season races. So races in April and May, those results carry more weight than results in March. The selection committee chooses 3 teams, 1 from each of the 3 regions, and they pick 1 at-large team. And the team is an 8 and a 4. You have to be able to boat an 8 and a 4 without anybody doubling into both events. They then choose 2 at-large 8s, and 8 only. So, and those 2 at-large 8s can come from any of the 3 regions. So you could potentially have 4 universities represented from the same region, because you've got 1 that wins the qualifying bid, 1 that wins an at-large bid, and then 1 program with an at-large 8 and another program with an at-large 8. On the men's side, it's a little bit different. The IRA, the Intercollegiate Rowing Association, is what sponsors the men's rowing's varsity national championship. With membership, you automatically get 1 entry in a men's 4. To qualify a men's 8, there are certain positions at various regattas throughout the country that allow you to qualify to get into that. So if you're in the top 8 from Eastern Sprints, which is typically hosted in Massachusetts, you can win a bid to IRAs in the varsity 8. If you win Dadvale in Philadelphia, you get a bid for the Varsity 8. If you win Sierra, which is the regatta that we'll go to in the Varsity 8, which is in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, you also get a bid for that as well.